Welcome to the Third Chair, a show about real people, real stories, real life. And here are your hosts for the Third Chair, Peter Grigg and Doug Bazeski.
Doug, it seems that almost every guest we have seems to be able to leg press 1,000 pounds.
They do? Well, I can leg press maybe 40 pounds.
Yeah, well, at least this guest on tonight's show can do that. He's a bodybuilder, a health coach.
1,000.
1,000. Small businessman. Please welcome Joe Ruggiero.
We should call him Joe 1,000 Ruggiero.
Yeah, like Joe, lift my car so I can change my wheel. Well, this episode of The Third Chair has Joe Ruggiero. I'm still trying to get it right. It's an Italian name. Welcome, Joe. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Doug.
And
Thank you.
We're, as we mentioned in the introduction, you've been an amateur bodybuilder, a small businessman, and we're going to get to all those juicy stories, including whether you drink giant mugs of eggs like Rocky.
I may have tried that for a bit. May have.
You may have. I could see you might have done that and maybe even enjoyed it. But in the meantime, as you know, and as we have your permission, we also talk about real life, real stories, real people. And you've given us permission to ask you about the battles and the struggles you've had with dyslexia.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, I know as a child that had to be really tough. What was the hardest parts of dyslexia as a child? And then maybe you could tell us a little bit about the hardest parts as an adult.
So definitely it was a challenge. I mean, I guess it started first, second grade when you're doing all the spelling tests and things like that. Trying to read out loud in front of the class, get picked on a lot because you're trying to sound the words out, versus most kids are able to read a little more fluently, a little sentence or paragraph. So it really, in the early stages of my school career, I did not like it one bit. It wasn't anything I enjoyed. I didn't enjoy math, writing, English, anything that had to do with the fact that I had to read or write. I did not enjoy it because it was really hard to me. It was hard to me in the sense that, for one, I got picked on a lot about it, and two, it just didn't make sense to me. Nothing
So
was
do they accuse you of being a dummy sort of
Yeah,
a thing?
I mean, call me stupid and stuff, and I was to throw it on top of it, I was a kind of a bigger kid, to describe me when I was younger.
You're husky.
Big boned and husky, those are the famous words for incognito, you're a little on the heavy side,
You're fat.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that what you're saying? I know. Obese now would be
So between, beast that,
Yeah.
So, getting picked on for not being able to read fluently, and then my spelling test, and not wanting to participate in group, say just a small group with kids trying to do a project. I didn't really want to participate in it because I couldn't read the directions or understand really what was going on unless it was told to me. Mm-hmm. So the teachers picked up on that really quick. My mom already had the understanding that I had dyslexia, and it was something kind of in the newer of the making. So when I say that is I became a guinea pig for dyslexia, and I was tested a bunch where other kids weren't being tested,
You mean by the school?
By the school, by the state. It was also in state testing and stuff like that. What they were trying to do is figure out what worked best for kids with dyslexia. I also have short-term memory, which is a recall thing. Mm-hmm. It's not like trying to memorize a moment that I was just in. It's just the recall of terminology. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have that, and my motor skills due to dyslexia would throw me off. So I could see something written on the board, I would have something over my hand, and I would write the word, and I might have all the letters there, but they might not be in the same order or go in the right direction or what have you. Say for me, big ones still today, B's and D's, P's and Q's, 5's and S's, all that type of stuff. It's very easy for my mind to switch it, and what I have learned as an adult with dyslexia is I see things as a shape. You know, so like simple as Joe, my name Joe, Joe, it goes from tall to short. That's how I visualize it. You know, like that goes for anywhere too. You know?
What about Peter?
I mean, Peter would be it'd be a tall, short, tall, short. I mean, that's how it would be, because I would, of course, with the capital P, that's how I would memorize how to spell that. You know.
Did you find that you had to like read sentences over and over and over to get meaning?
Yeah, I mean
that had to be frustrating.
I mean, I had to read things 10 times compared to what most kids had to read to be able to get it out. Most of the time, I would just when I was younger, I'd give up. Because there was a lot of things I was really good at, which are hands-on. Like I was working on four-wheelers, working on cars, building things, you know, like all that type of stuff that's really hands-on. I was, you know, mowing lawns and dishwashing at such a young age and stuff like that. All that stuff came real easy to me, and I was really strong, so I really liked that aspect. So I'm like, why do I need to learn this stuff that makes me super frustrated? And also I get picked on about it. Yeah. And nobody seemed to really when I was younger, have a like an answer to it. You know, now we have special ed classes and stuff a lot more. We didn't have those really in the beginning. My elementary years, we had those when I got into my middle school years.
Wow. Yeah, I know you are going to be doing some work with health education with kids. Are you sort of primed to spot or relate if you think a kid might have dyslexia? I
mean, I could definitely tell pretty quickly, honestly, just talking to a kid, how in touch they are with themselves is a huge one. I mean, most kids that aren't in tune with themselves or understand like what they like or what they want to be doing or what they're good at, usually are because they're more in the scheme of the educational system, meaning like they have all these other things going on. That's what they're looking at. That's what they're paying attention to. And for me, when I see somebody that is focused in on something like I was when I was younger, like I was really good at, you know, not just lifting weights, but building things, taking them apart, putting them together. So that's what I was constantly doing. You know, if I find a kid like that, but also has a hard time in school, and I just kind of can put the two and two together, like, so you have more of what we are lacking of, I feel, big time these days, is called common sense. You know?
Well, I think that that is pretty common, that those are the kinds of careers also that people with dyslexia are going to be drawn more towards.
Yeah.
You know, sales, being outgoing, definitely not like computer data entry. No. You know, that's not going to be
not by any means.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea of, I mean, do you have advice for people if, say, they're working with kids with dyslexia? You know, I know you're not a teacher in the classroom, but you definitely are a health coach. And so do you take a different approach, or do you think people should be aware of some different approaches
I feel like we need to have more of an open mindset on things. So like for me, the way I work with a lot of different kids, adults, all of that, but what the main thing that I keep getting feedback is the way that I can meet everybody at their level or where they're at. So like I think that is huge when it comes to dyslexia. So what is this kid good at? What can they excel in? What makes them feel comfortable? What gives them motivation and drive to do this? And like let's lean into that a lot more, which that will lead into pathways to being able to figure out what we think is, you know, streamlined education.
Were there any resources after you sort of used the term that you were kind of a guinea pig? And they tried different things. Have there been any resources that you have particularly found outstanding, or that you would point people towards?
I mean, really, it was like just finding a really good teacher that would hear me out. That's an excellent resource. So like to the moms and dads out there that say they have an issue with their son or their daughter with dyslexia and they know that's what it is, even if they don't know that's what it is, finding a teacher that would back them in the way that they they feel confident in learning. So like myself, I wasn't good at math. I would go right to this teacher and say, listen, I'm not good at math. I don't know what to do with this class. And my math teacher, say I'm going to a different teacher that I rely on, that I can go to and voice my problems and stuff to. I'd be like, hey, Mr. Jacobson, he's just not listening to me. You know, he's not understanding. I can't pick this stuff up. I can't learn it the way that he's teaching me. And he doesn't want to give me another way to teach it. So she would go there, talk to him, see what they can do. I would always do extras. I was the kid that always did extras because I wanted to make sure my grades were up there.
Sure.
And he, you know, that didn't work out. So she was able to help me move into a different class where the teacher would work with me.
You know, talking with you before the show, you had mentioned that sometimes if a teacher was teaching it well and you were really getting it, but there was some student that was interfering with the teacher, you weren't too happy about that.
No, I usually always had I would voice my opinion, I'd go over and say, hey, let's go talk, especially in high school. The teachers I built a real good relationship with because that's what I know works best for me, and plus I love people, so building those relationships with the teachers to the point where I could be like, hey, Dan, let's go out here and talk real quick because I need her attention, so you need to stop acting like a fool so that way I can get her attention and pass this right.
Very good. Yeah. What we're going to do at the end of the show, Joe, is we'll put on the screen some local or national resources that parents that maybe have a dyslexic child can look into.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Grigg, a life and recovery coach with Pikes Peak Recovery Coaching. I've had the pleasure and privilege of helping people for over 25 years. I want to hear your story, support and encourage you while we partner together to help you reach your goals. I can help you. I am certain I can help you. I can be your guide, role model, resource person, and help you get results. What's my coaching frameworks? I'm an eclectic coach drawing from a variety of disciplines and frameworks with evidence-based proven methods. What would you like to work on? Some popular areas are goal setting and attainment, building and maintaining motivation, finding purpose, personal development, recovery from drug and alcohol addiction problems, health and wellness, life planning, athletic and creative artist performance enhancement, maybe something else. Just ask me. I would love to help you. You can find my services on Fiverr.com. Welcome back to the third chair with our special guest, Joe Ruggiero, which is Italian.
It is
Italian. I keep wanting to say it's Spanish, but I'm wrong. And Joe is an amateur bodybuilder and small businessman. And we're going to pick up where we left off with Doug. Well, actually, we're going to start with Doug and some new questions with Doug. Go ahead, Doug.
So we're going to talk about your bodybuilding.
All right.
In the introduction, Peter called you an amateur bodybuilder, but to me, you look like a professor.
Thank you. I mean, I never competed legitimate on there. I've done on the stage or anything like that, but I have worked out with many of them, and I have trained the exact same way most of my life, and I've even helped a lot with just dieting through it.
You know, we saw some of you. I don't know if people remember in a couple of our earlier episodes. Where we were at 9 Rounds filming, and you were there doing some of your stunts.
Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite stunt to do? Like something like
that? So right now, I have to say is like the handstand push-ups. I'm really enjoying those because I'm making big progression in them. For one thing, I want to be able to do handstand anywhere, at any angle, just like working a flag, which just holding yourself sideways. I'm also working on being able to do like a push-up type of press off of that as well. So those are very difficult. Takes a lot of core and like just coordination mentally to, mind-body connection. So it's really challenging, but I like it a lot.
And Peter said there's a film of you do like pushing with your legs 1,000 pounds?
Yeah, so legs are, you need base. You need a strong base. I work out legs twice a week, no matter what. Sometimes more, usually more.
But you really need 1,000 pounds?
Well, I didn't have to go there, but I usually work out with 850-pound leg press, and I was like, wow, this is seeming pretty easy. I'm getting up there, and I just went for it, and I did 1,018 pounds 8 times. Of course, I got to work on the distance a little bit more, but it felt really good. That way I have people ask me, why would you want to, press 1,000 pounds? Well, I have a built-in jack if my truck gets stuck, So, there you go.
Well, 1,000 pounds, that's a good round
Yeah,
number.
Good round number, yeah.
That's what I like to do, is keep them round and simple.
I mean, how do you set a goal?
Is impressive, 1,000.
I was gonna say I'm happy with 225.
I'd be happy with 150. Whatever.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned you do leg presses 2 times a week. What's your exercise program for a week?
So that kind of I change it up depending on how intense it is and how my body's reacting to it, every 2 to 3 months. So right now I'm actually in a heavy phase, meaning I'm trying to push a lot of weight. I'm trying to get back up there to the weights that I used to press before I stopped, before I moved out here 4 years ago. So that's why I'm pushing that 1,000 pounds. I'm trying to get my bench press back up to 405, because it's really nice to see 4 plates on each side of the bar. And then I also want to still be very functional. So what I mean by that is I don't want to just be big and bulky, you can't move. I want to be able to press 1,000 pounds and do a backflip. I want to be able to bench press 4 or 5 and do 30 to 50 pull-ups at once. Like those, I want to be well-rounded in every aspect. I want to be able to jump into a run with somebody, run 5 miles, but then still be able to go back and, curl the 60-pound weights. So the way that I work my workout schedule now is I do legs 2 times a week, back 2 times a week, and then I do chest 1 time a week. But I also have like a half hour where I do half hour to 45-minute interval training. So that kind of hits the whole body. It's just not doing heavy weights. So it's a lot going on. Usually it's at least 2 workouts a day.
So where did you move from?
I moved from Vermont.
Is that kind of... it's not as high as Colorado Springs.
No, it is very low. It's very low. We're only like 100 feet above sea level.
So when you moved here, was there adjustment period? Even with lifting weights, I know runners have adjustment.
Yeah, there was a little bit. I actually tried to judge that the best I could for preparing to move here. I was working out. I was doing a lot of elevation training and just trying to figure out what I could do to prepare myself to be able to just jump into my workouts heavy here, because I had a job right off the bat at Fit Body Boot Camp off of Fillmore in town. And the only thing that I realized is, my workouts were great. Like, they felt good. But, man, I was exhausted. I needed to take naps for the first time in my life. Because I think it's because I was just looking for the oxygen that I wasn't used to. Because my workouts, I'd be fine performing, and my lungs weren't burning when I was working real hard. But man, afterwards, when I got done training with people and then working out, I was whooped.
Nap time.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was my first time in my life. I was like, man, I need 20-minute naps now.
So you didn't like naps as a kid?
Well, I guess, when I was a kid, probably I enjoyed them a little bit, to be honest. But I never needed a nap ever in my life, ever since, say, probably elementary school on. There was no need for it. And then all of a sudden I get here, I'm like, wow, I don't even know if I could finish the day without one.
Yeah. But naps are good because they refresh you.
They do, as long as they're not too long.
Yeah.
Because if they're too long, then you're like, I'm done for the day. I noticed that it's real hard to pull yourself out of like a 45 to an hour nap.
Right.
Versus a 20-minute little cat nap, you could jump right up, ready to go.
You say you work out twice a day, but you're also training people and spotting and helping them lift and demonstrating. And so it's more like you work out like 8 or 9 times a day.
Sometimes it feels that way. I really have to, I got done training earlier before I came here with somebody, and I have to stop myself and tell myself I'm not supposed to do the workout with them. You know, it's really quite difficult because I like it. It's fun for me. I like working out with them. For one, when I start working out with them, it kind of motivates them to work harder. Mm-hmm. So doing all that feels really good, but at the same time, I have to remember I have to be able to move tomorrow.
When you're motivating people, or is there anybody more difficult than Peter to motivate?
Peter's a good challenge, but he's pretty well self motivated. I have to say, he's got some really good goals. I mean, he does give me a challenge here and there. Sometimes a little complaining here and there, but that's all right. That's all right. He works right through it.
Yeah, you want some cheese with that wine in here?
Yeah.
He does his early in the morning, so maybe he's still waking up.
He does. Yeah. Maybe he is still waking up, but he's pretty right on top of with the comebacks, I have to say. I know when I give him crab kicks, he's looking for crab cakes, you know.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. Well, that's because you ought to see the two partners I have to work with, including the guy hiding off screen, our producer Doug.
Yeah.
He's the tough one.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding, do you take supplements, or how do you help get the muscles?
So really, it's all about recovery and quality with your foods. So the only thing that I take that would be a supplement would be collagen, because it's one sourced. I take a couple different collagen proteins. I believe in collagen over any other type of protein. For one, it's very susceptible for your body, and we need it not just for like the protein factor, but it also helps build your ligaments up. It's again skin, nails, hair, all that good stuff too as well. But I just feel collagen protein for me, and what I've seen working with many people now, is like the best source of protein. It's very neutral, meaning it doesn't bother people one way or the other. Whey protein sometimes makes you feel very bloated. You know, sometimes people have a hard time processing, say, like a vegan protein, which would be like a lot of pea or rice protein.
Brown rice.
Yeah. And with that, they become really grainy too. You know, like
have you tried grasshopper protein?
I have not tried grasshopper protein. Not yet. I actually have seen that.
Yeah, we need to invite you back for an episode, maybe where you eat a grasshopper protein bar.
Okay, I'm down.
Live reaction.
Yeah, we all three should eat them.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. I'm down. Anything that's protein in it, I'll take it on. Other than red meat, I don't eat red meat.
Well, are you doing creatinine?
I do creatine. I do creatine. I do a single source of that, and I do that for a 2-month period. Take a month off, 2-month period, just for the recovery purposes of it. I know creatine gets a bad rap. That's some type of it can work as a steroid and stuff. It's not even close to that. All it does is help replenish your muscles and get rid of that your lactic acid out of your system.
Yeah. There's a lot of good research on creatine being effective as a.
There's a lot of bad rap on it though too, because a lot of people like to think because it pumps you up, which really doesn't really pump you up. It just puts like a little more water into your system, which makes your muscles look a little bigger at the time.
Yeah. Well, if you stop using it, they might look a little bit.
Yeah. Well, they might not have the roundness. You have more cut to it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question on.
You're gonna have to hold that thought.
I'll ask the question and then we'll go.
Okay. Yeah.
Think about it, because you said you don't do red meat. Well, let's find out why.
Okay.
After this intermission.
Break. And find out what other meat he eats. We'll be right back. Yeah. Hi, I'm Peter Gregg.
And I'm Doug Buzeski, and we are the host of The Third Chair.
We are here at 9-Round Kickboxing in Colorado Springs, shooting a little of what we call B-roll for episodes 1, 5, and 6.
Yes, Peter's about to get his butt kicked while I eat a hamburger. Subscribe to our YouTube page to watch these episodes. They are a sight to behold. Follow us on social media.
We are always looking for guests with a great story.
And that would be everybody, because we all have a story.
If you want to be a guest, send us an email.
And then get yourself down here to 9-Round Kickboxing while you're at it.
Yes, guys, if you're interested in getting fit without getting hit just like Mike, just head over to 9round.com, find one of our 3 locations that's closest to you, and book that free intro out. We look forward to kicking it with you.
Welcome back to the third chair with our special guest, Joe Ruggiero, which is Italian.
Nice.
I'm going to get it yet before the evening's out. And when we last left off, Doug asked...
Well, this Italian, you don't eat red meat.
No.
Can you explain why?
Yeah. So, like, growing up in Vermont and stuff, I don't know if it was, like, the area or just the belief, because me and my father lived together once I turned 12 or so. My mom and dad divorced, so me and him were on that kick, Arnold and Lou Ferrigno, what did they do? They ate a bunch of steak, so it was, like, red meat and chicken, red meat and pork chops. Of course, we had a salad in there, but it was usually steak and something else. We would always have steak with it. So I think what happened to me is over time, because steak is such a mineral-dense meat, that it's really hard for your body to break down all the time. So it when it gets to my kidneys now, especially now that I've had herniated discs, or I do have herniated discs, but I'm very much in the 5% recovery, almost full recovery from them. Anyways, when I eat red meat, it inflames my kidneys. So it presses on around my discs, my L4 and L5, and it just gives me a lot of irritation, and I can feel it go from one kidney to the other before it works out of my system.
So you get these symptoms with red meat.
With red meat,
Does it matter if it's bison or?
So it's a lingerer when it's bison. When it's wild game, it's a little better, but it's still enough to irritate me where it ruins my workouts, and I don't want to do it.
Have you tried grasshopper?
I have. I'm looking forward to trying grasshopper. I'm looking forward.
Grasshopper.
Yeah, we're gonna have a big bucket of grasshopper protein and a spoon.
There you go. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and so you eat chicken?
I eat all
Pork?
the other. Yeah, I eat, right now my main meats are just chicken, turkey. I eat a good amount of pork, not too much, more bacon, but a lot of eggs, and then that collagen protein. I'll even do a little bit of lamb here and there, but I do a lot of fish as well. Yeah. So like salmon, I really like salmon, and I really like shrimp and scallops.
So let me just, and this is something that I'm insanely jealous of. Well, not jealous is the wrong word. That is just incredible. You are like around 200 pounds.
Yep.
7-8% body fat.
Yeah, right now it's like 8%.
8%. And in order to maintain your muscle mass, you need to consume like 6,000 calories a day, and that's without putting on weight. Yeah. Is that about right?
Yeah. So right now, especially working out much heavier, I'm even hungrier than I usually am. So like I eat anywhere between, it's usually 52 to 5,600 calories, and I got to push it up around the 5,600 to actually be able to be able to grow muscle. And with that, it's with the thought of, I'm also doing a lot of intense like cardio, interval training. I do high intense, low intense, whatever works best. I do a lot of calisthenics too, like we were talking about handstands and the flags. So I'm doing that randomly throughout the day. I'm training people, and then I do a strength training at least 5 days a week.
So do you wear a Fitbit?
I don't wear a Fitbit. I actually don't have anything on me. It doesn't last very long.
Yeah, I was
usually it gets ripped off, it gets broken. Yeah.
It probably is like.
Yeah, I should try one of those though.
Yeah, so on days when your diet isn't very good and you only eat, say, 5,000 calories, that you're in danger of losing muscle mass.
I mean, I don't think so. Actually, the one thing that I really feel that I'm very lucky for is my genetics. Like I'm also the guy back home when I always have been working. I'm working out very strong since I was 11, 12 years old. Like very serious about it. But I have been able to go a day without eating, 2 days without eating much, and still be able to maintain my muscle mass and just jump back on the boat when I get to it.
I cannot imagine you being really happy not eating for 2 days.
No, it's a little stressful.
I'm not happy. So let's talk about your childhood, because we talked about the dyslexia, but one of the things that I find fascinating is you learned a really powerful work ethic as a kid.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Like you were telling me you're like driving tractors and bobcats and stuff when you're like 9 or something. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean my family works very, very hard. Italian family, usually I say it's just about everything. It's everything literally other than the killing of the Sopranos. That's the way it's set up. So we're kind of like critiqued to be a certain way when we get older, and I was the oldest in my generation, and I worked a lot with my dad, and it just kind of was something that you were meant to do. I mean, this is one story that I use all the time, which I don't understand the whole purpose behind it, but it did make me who I am today. I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, but I didn't want to be the altar boy anymore. I was altar boy for a few years going. And then
like a Catholic altar boy?
Yeah, Catholic altar boy, a few years running, carrying the cross down, making sure all the things are set up. Also working in the church a little bit because my mom and my grandma are very involved in the church. And with all that, I just decided I didn't want to be altar boy anymore. And I said that to my dad, and we went to breakfast that morning, and then I had a 40-hour week job just about. So, and all of a sudden...
It wasn't lighting candles.
It wasn't lighting candles. It went from me thinking I was going to have more time to having much less time. All of a sudden, I became a dishwasher, a prep cook very quickly, and then I even cooked on busy nights.
And what about the scrapping business as a kid? I mean, you told me you took a heating element out of a dryer and put a friend in there.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, so we had, I could do...
mischievous.
Yeah, well, we even played with dynamite and stuff like that, because we just had I had access to those things. Like you were saying, I had a lot of...
You had access to dynamite.
The small sticks. The small sticks. So we were still blowing trees up. Yeah. We were
just a finger at a time.
Yeah, we were sticking them in big old pine trees, watching it blow up and fall over and stuff. So that was super fun. But just having the responsibilities that I had at the age that I was, say 9 years old, I was mowing multiple people's lawns and stuff at that time. I was also working with my dad and whatever I could be doing with him. And then 10, same thing. Every single summer, I had a full-time job all the way up through. And that was the only time I ever worked for anybody else was during my school career. Other than that, I've only worked for my family until I moved out here.
Wow. Well, go ahead.
You had some of your own businesses out. Was that back in Vermont or?
So that was back. I did have. We had family businesses back home. So we had a trash company, an excavating company. Then one of my uncles had a septic company. We've also done a lot of tree work at a small moving company. We pretty much did it all. You give us a call, we can help you out,
You were involved with managing some of that?
All of it, yeah. Me and my uncles managed it. Me and one of my uncles were more of the manager part of it. I was also a lot of the workforce part of it. Towards the end before I was leaving there, I ended up teaching a lot of the guys how to drive truck and how to run the routes and fine tune things so they made more sense when you were working rather than just working out there mindlessly.
So what was your favorite part of all that?
So honestly, I think it was just being able to experience new things. Say when I was 16, because my dad owned the excavating company, and I already had years of running the machines in the woods, making dirt bike jumps and ramps and whatever. I was very good at running them by the time I was 16, and I was putting in water mains. For town into elementary schools. We did 4 elementary schools this one summer, and I was running a crew of 7 guys that we subcontracted out, and I was the guy that showed up, made sure things were getting done. I was the guy that was talking in between what we called the white hats, so the engineers on the site, and kind of relaying the messages and making sure everything got done the way it should be.
Next.
So did you have any businesses after moving here?
So yeah, I started up a small business, which was Better Me LLC, and I did that because I wanted to implement that thought right off the bat, better me. So saying it to yourself.
Is this your health coaching business?
This is my health coaching business.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And now I kind of changed the name of it, but better me is like something I wanted people to instantly say to themselves. A better me, like what does that look like to you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what does it take to become a better you, or what are you looking to be better at? Like, are you looking to be better nutritionally, physically, mentally? I mean, all of it matters very much, but what is the main focus?
Sure. When will you be releasing your Buns of Steel video?
Buns of Steel video, yeah. That's coming out soon.
So what is the business called now?
So now it's actually just, it's Joe Ruggiero Official, because I had a hard time finding the name. So it's just Joe Ruggiero Official. You can find me on Facebook and stuff, but mainly I'm doing that kind of the side because I'm working for the Children's Hospital, taking on a role there with a program that they're just starting up. It's been in the works for a couple years, and it's working with kids to prevent suicide.
Oh, that's very
so I assume
important.
there's exercise a part of that.
Well, yeah, whatever goals they
thinking,
have.
good mindsets.
I mean, a lot of that. Mostly it's mindsets, talking, seeing where they're at, and helping them pretty much find their person. Like I was mentioning earlier about finding a good teacher for them, just helping them find somebody that they can talk to, connect with, and feel secure with.
Great.
Yeah, we talked to an earlier guest about suicide prevention. So
Yeah,
it's very important.
It's pretty
issue.
crazy out here,
Especially, here.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, El Paso County's got a pretty high suicide
El
rate in the
Paso
nation.
County is the highest one in the nation.
Yeah, it goes back between 1 and 2. There's,
Does it?
I think, a place in Alaska that
I think
occasionally
this year
has higher.
or last year was the highest.
Yeah, it's that's terrible.
sad.
It's nothing for us to be proud of here.
No.
Anyways, we'll continue this when we come right back. We sure hope you're enjoying this episode of The Third Chair.
Would you like to be a sponsor for the Third Chair?
We would love to have you join us to keep the show going and also help your business. Send us an email about your product or company and let's talk.
And follow us on social media.
Now back to The Third Chair.
Yes.
Welcome back to The Third Chair with our special guest, Joe Ruggiero, which is Italian. I'm going to get it right yet. So, Joe, you're also a health coach. You do a lot of working out, as you've mentioned. So let me throw some questions at you that people would have. Suppose you're in your 50s and you've really struggled with your weight all your life. What kinds of things would you say and do, say, with a client like that?
So usually, I mean, that's very interesting because I actually just had somebody come to me like that. What they do is by that time, usually they exhausted many things. They have way too much information because especially nowadays, it's just flooded full of information, which I feel is more opinionated than it is factual. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I end up talking with them, just seeing where they're at, seeing where their frustrations are, seeing what their goals are. And usually within that conversation, they will tell me where a good place for them to start is, because everybody knows just about what they need to do to become a healthier or lose weight or feel better about themselves in whatever way that might be. And usually it's very underlying reasons why that isn't happening. So what I do is I just start with very open-ended conversation and see where it goes, see where it drags into, and then that would kind of help me lead into, all right, well, maybe we should talk more about the mental game. Because usually by the time you're in your 50s and you just haven't lost the weight and you've been struggling and super stressful, your mental capacity to take in any information about that or want to even think about it becomes very, very little.
Well, you're frustrated too. It's like I've tried X, Y, and Z, and it doesn't seem to have worked.
And meanwhile, like if you look at all those X, Y, and Zs, they all look like cookie cutters. Now, nobody out there is a cookie cutter position. You can't just give, like I've debated a lot with a lot of other trainers and stuff about just giving a workout regimen and giving a diet plan. Well, that's great. That's great for maybe the initiative to like start losing the 20 pounds or so, but it's not sustainable. What we want to do is find ways that you can eat and understand how your body reacts to this food, how your body is going to grow from this food, and that you should be feeding yourself quality, not say what I like to use is fuel for your car. Like, you don't want to be eating regular all the time. You should have premium in your diet all the time. You want to run premium level. That's mind, body, spirit, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, but there's going to be an element of like harder work, though.
There is.
Yeah,
there
if
is.
I come to you and I say, Joe, I want a recomposition. I want to lose some percent body fat, but I want to, at a minimum, maintain my muscle mass or increase it.
Yep.
There's no way you're going to say, Peter, we're going to do all this probably with no weights involved. It's
Yes.
you know,
the thing is we'll take slow implemented steps to be able to get there, so it seems more achievable when you get to that point versus just throwing it out there. Like, a lot of people say, like, I work out at Vasa right now. When I see people come in, they come in and they get this diet plan, they get this workout regimen. That's great. But you just gave that to them without understanding if they're really committed to it. Mm-hmm. And like understanding where they are mentally. Like, if they're super stressed out and then you give them the same thing that they've seen 30 times before, and they lose the 20 pounds but they yo-yo back, then they're not going to be, they're not going to push into that workout or give it all the respect and focus that it needs because nobody did any underlying work.
Does that sort of answer the question in part about why you think people give up on a plan or a program?
I think people give up on it because, for one, it's very much opinionated out there. Everything is flooded full of tons of information. You should do this, you should do that, and then everything is in the ideal manner. When I say cookie cutter, I mean that very much. I mean that to the point where people that are doing keto, like, they just think like that is going to be the one way. But if you're somebody that works from 7 in the morning to 2 in the morning, you have a very long day. To sustain keto and keep your energy levels up and your ability to focus and stuff is going to be very hard. It's going to be very difficult. Mm-hmm. Same thing if you're on the Whole30. Like, yeah, that's great and stuff, but what about if you have a lifestyle this way? What if your stress hits you this way? Say, like, you're a judge. You got a lot of stress on you all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, so you're trying to eat healthy. You're also getting calls in the middle of the night to write up papers, whatever it might be. That is a different type of way of, like, she or he is going to need a different way of eating that will fit well for them. It might lean more towards keto. It might lean more towards Whole30. It might lean towards being a vegetarian or a vegan, but it's not going to be just that. Mm-hmm. You know, I have somebody I worked with years ago now, still calls me up, 100% vegan. All the way across the board, even down to not wearing anything leather. You know, very, very serious.
I can never be that vegan.
Yeah. I mean, it was very extreme, but with it, he did great for 2 years. But he was a wrestler in college. He wanted to be able to maintain his weight, and he has having a hard time focusing. He's always been able to keep his weight at a certain regimen, especially being a wrestler. You got to keep it at a certain place for his where he competes at. So what we did is, literally, I was like, all right, man, this is what you're telling me. We already talked about a bunch of stuff. You changed some things up. Nothing happened that way. But you're telling me you have all these things in place. The one thing you're missing is these type of proteins, vitamin K, things that you can get more from meats or animal proteins in general. Mm-hmm. So he is a vegan 28 days out of the month. Oh. 2 days out of the month, every single month, he eats some type of animal protein. Oh, wow. Now, if you gave him a cookie cutter outlook, how would he ever know that he can literally be a vegan that much? And he's still a vegan, but 2 days out of the month, to help him with his focus, to help maintain his weight, he eats animal proteins for the day.
Yeah, I have a question about that. If you have two vegan bodybuilders that are angry at each other, can you really call that a beef?
I don't know. That'd be interesting.
And is grasshopper protein considered vegan?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Well, I think if you kill it, right? If anything with a face.
Yeah.
I don't think you can eat it if it has a face.
I think you can eat it if it has a face,
Yeah,
or if it squirms.
Yeah. Well, we have, there's eggitarians and fishitarians and all that as well. Junkitarians too, because Twizzlers seem to be vegan,
I've known many vegans, and many of them got really, really sick. You have to really do it right, and
it's very difficult. Too.
Yeah, the people that were long-term vegan, they actually sort of did that. They were vegan plus salmon.
Yeah. And like I've talked to a lot of people like that were very successful for, like I said, 2, maybe 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's where the time is where you depleted all of it out of your system, and your body's like dying for it, and they have all these either like their nutrition levels aren't where they should be, their vitamin, the minerals, whatever it might be, are just so diminished and taken down because of the lack of animal protein.
Yeah, especially they also get B12 deficient.
Yeah, B12, vitamin K is very much a big issue.
From that. A lot of them I saw look really, really pale and really sick.
Very
it's
pale,
like,
and then the other thing is too, they have a lot of joint issues. Like I noticed with a lot of them too. This is feedback that I've gotten from talking to vegans, and then I even looked it up. What is the longest, a standing vegan? And there's this lady. She's a yoga instructor in Asia, and the longest she did it for that I know. And this is, if somebody has some more information, I'd love to hear it. But she did it for 11 years.
Wow.
But 11 years. Then she had all these medical issues because she was vegan for that long, just trying to make it work, finding things. She had a really good regimen, lasted great for 6 years, but those last 5 years really hammered her hard.
Now, Doug, you had a question about his what?
Working at 9 Round. How did you get that job?
So I got that job. The owner here in the Springs, Melissa Lance there, you guys interviewed her a while back. She found me on Instagram. I was working at Fit Body Boot Camp. I was health coaching on the side. I was also doing like miscellaneous jobs, and she just found me on Instagram, asked me if I'd be interested in working there, and I went and interviewed, and there I was.
Yeah. What challenges were there with that job besides Peter?
So, I mean, a lot of some of the challenges in that job is being able to, I'm really big on form. So I had to work a lot on being able to let people be where they're at, but not hurt themselves. Increase form over time versus.
So the form of the exercise.
The form of the exercise, whether it's round kicks, whether it's squats, whether it's push-ups, whether it's punching, whatever it might be, making sure that nobody's hurting themselves, also getting a good workout, but slowly giving implemented steps so that in 3 months their round kick is much better, not in 2 weeks, because you just don't have the time.
Did that help you, like in your own business, like realize?
I mean, it definitely helped me a lot in helping. Like, I already had a pretty good understanding of how to meet people where they are, but it helped me in the ability to give people more sustainable steps versus like, say, like I was saying earlier, when a trainer goes up to you and says, these are the workouts. Well, those workouts are great. Now they're looking at it. It's gibberish to them. It's Pig Latin. They're trying to read here. They're not sure what these workouts are. They can look them up. That's great. But now do they have an understanding of it? So, like, when I talk to people, I just find out where they are. And then I can help them from that position, not giving them too much, but so that what they learn, they take in and hold on to.
Very good. Well, we're going to hold that thought, and when we come back for our final segment, we will address a couple of things, including, I assume you're still taking clients.
Yeah,
we will give some contact information on that, as well as some other resources regarding dyslexia. We'll do all that when we come right back.
Copy of the Kentucky-Arizona Walnut Association?
It's kava. The national coffee of Kawasaki, Japan? It's kava. kava.
Hiya!
Is it the secret elixir of the surfers in Hawaii?
Or is it the secret island recipe of Kona, Koala, Kauai, or Cola?
It's kava. Kava is Polish for coffee. And here at Kava Coffee, we focus on serving a delicious, high-quality cup of coffee in a space where love, coffee, and people mix into the perfect blend.
We value our relationships with our customers and our roasters. Buy locally whenever possible and truly have the homemade touch. Our pastries, syrups, and even our almond milk are made in-house.
So come on in, relax, get some work done. Enjoy the Kava community, some encouraging words from the Kava Coffee Gang.
Kava Coffee.
Be awake.
Welcome back to the third show with our special guest, Joe Ruggiero. And that's Italian.
You got it down.
I'm going to go down.
Italian.
It's still Italian. Hasn't changed since the last time we talked. And just for the record too, Joe, of your many skills, you also make an awesome salmon.
Oh, thank you.
And he cooked some shrimp for me the other night.
Yep.
You know, I guess I should disclose, Joe is over the last couple of years done some things to help me with my workouts and that, and I've really appreciated him making me do all those push-ups.
Peter has crushed a lot of goals. I have to say, you have done very well. You have really showed up. You've actually were quite the inspiration, or are quite the inspiration at the gym.
Oh, well, I do my best, because I really look at it, if I don't work out hard, I mean, I have type 2 diabetes, it's either work out hard or die.
Yeah.
Those are kind of my choices, you know, and so it's like, you know, I'm going to work out hard.
Yeah.
And so I've appreciated the coaching, you know, and there's different kinds of coaches. Some people that are really good at getting people started on a journey.
Yeah.
And then they kind of hand you off to somebody else.
Exactly, yeah.
And on the break, you were saying that you felt one of your strengths and perhaps callings, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that you're a coach that is very good coming in when people have kind of given up on the process or the goal or the dream.
Yep.
Is
100%.
Is that sort of where your headspace is?
Yes, it is very much. I mean, right now, especially that I'm off doing more of my own thing, I've really come to like find myself working with people where they're just totally done. They're done trying the new trendy workout. They're done spending thousands and thousands of dollars on these trainers or even like dietitians or nutritionists or whatever they might be. Tons of money being thrown at them. And yeah, they might have results or they do have results, but then they yo-yo back real quick. Mm-hmm. So over years and years of that happening, like we were talking earlier, it just makes it so you don't want to try it anymore. You're all done. Mm-hmm. You know, there's no point of doing it if I'm just going to end up back where I was anyways.
It's a sense of hopelessness.
Yeah, it is. And usually that's because people have not found the underlying reasons of why they became or why they have gotten to the position they are now. Mm-hmm. So how did this weight come on to you, or what is the real reason you want to lose this? What is not even just your why, but what is the main reason that you can feel in your heart that you talk about when you want to get better, when you want to feel stronger, lose a little bit of weight, have a better mindset, what you're doing, eat healthier, whatever it might be. So I'm finding myself having a lot of people come to me that are just totally done. They don't want to try anything else. I even catch them on the whim, and I of course always have a free consultation. So, or what we're calling them now, because we don't call them consultations, is a discovery interview. So, totally free. Sit down with me for an hour. Let's see what goes on. Usually, there's some gems that come out of it. I have no problem. I want to help people, if anything. Mm-hmm. So, usually within that, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. But to start that lately, I have been just talking to people at networking groups and stuff, and they're like, oh man, I'm all done with the diet, because they look at me and naturally we start talking about diet and working out.
Yeah.
So,
what do I need to eat to look like you?
Yeah. So it just happens, and then I start asking them, where they're at and what they're doing, and they're like, oh, well, I'm done. It's super frustrating. I'm like, well, if you want, I'd be more than happy to talk with you if you want to give it one more chance. Mm-hmm. And I've done that now 5 times just recently, and now I have 5 new clients, and those clients are seeing results they have not seen maybe in most of their life, if not ever.
Wow. And so, do you have typical times of the day or the weekend when you're generally meeting with new clients?
So right now I usually do early in the morning, or I do later in the afternoon, because I'm trying to keep myself a gap to be able to work with the children from that program at the
Early
Children's
in the morning, like 4:30?
Yeah, I mean,
5?
I train a couple people at 4 in the morning, and then I also at 6 in the morning, because 8 to 3 is usually the gap that I like to keep open, and then I'll start training people from 4 on.
Okay, and suppose somebody watching is feeling that way. Oh, I'm kind of giving up. I've been fat since I've been 12, and I've tried all the stuff, and they want to contact you. What's the best way, if they wanted to contact you, to do that?
If you want to contact me, I mean, of course, Facebook, it's Joe Ruggiero Official. I had to put the official on there. I'm not a big fan of that, but something with Facebook.
As opposed to unofficial.
Yeah, well, they just wouldn't accept it. So it's Joe Ruggiero Official is my Facebook.
How do you spell Ruggiero? I know it's Italian.
Yeah, Ruggiero, and it's just Joe, Joe. And you can also call me anytime, or what I prefer would be a text. That way I can see, and then I'll give you a call back. Let me know what you're texting me about, but at 802-384-9992.
Thanks, and we'll have that on the screen for the people. Joe, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your heart. We are so glad to have had you here.
Very educational.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been The Third Chair. Next week, our guest will be John Rabens. Want to be a guest? Want to sponsor our show? Send us an email. Please subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media.